This is WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, and you are watching When It Was Real with noted wrestling historian, author, actor, and wrestling manager Nikita Breznikov, and pro wrestling author and podcaster Benny Scala, found only on the Playa Entertainment Network. Arriba!
What an intro, man. Amigo. Yeah. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to When It Was Real, this show that goes back to that magical time when wrestling was quite real to us. I am Benny Scala, a.k.a. The Playa, and with me is the main event. He's noted wrestling historian, author, actor, and wrestling manager Nikita Breznikov. Nikita, how are you, my friend?
Beautiful. Glad to be here. Another day alive. Let's move them.
Absolutely.
Good people here.
Yes, we do. We have a very special episode for tonight, and we have some very special guests. So we're going to talk about the legendary Killer Kowalski, one of the greatest heels in the history of professional wrestling. I don't think anybody would argue with that. And once he retired from wrestling, Killer became Walter and trained many great professional wrestlers, and we have two of them right here with us. And they happen to be my partners every Monday night on True Crime with the Bad Girl, The Playa, and the Stars, Cauliflower Alley Club, and New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer Brittany Brown, and International Wrestling Hall of Famer, International Wrestling Federation Hall of Famer Dangerous Dave Starr. Welcome, guys. Haven't seen you guys since Monday.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on tonight.
It's our pleasure. And now we always do a toast on Wednesday night. So tonight it's a three-part toast. So first, we're going to do a toast to the great Walter Killer Kowalski, who struck fear in our hearts in our youth as Killer, but in later years as Walter put his heart and soul into training the wrestlers of tomorrow. That's toast number one. Number two is to our great guests, Brittany and Dave. And number three, and I told you guys before we started, today would have been my dad's 101st birthday, Joe Scala, born August 13th, 1924, died August 13th, 1987.
Wow.
I was going to say, what's the odds you die on your birthday? Well, it's easy. It's 365 to 1. But, yeah, died way too young. I know he's watching up from heaven. So, Dad, I love you and I miss you. And here's to everyone. Salute.
That's love you. I often wonder about that. When the days are picked, which I believe they are, who decides is you're going to go on your birthday? That's a wild one.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you something, because like that whole year leading up to my 63rd birthday, the day of June 24th, 2018, my 63rd birthday, I could barely even like sleep. I mean, I was just like, okay. And when it struck midnight, it's like, oh man, I made it. And I haven't really thought that after that, but
wow.
Yeah, that was kind of nerve wracking. But here I am, still alive and kicking. So I know you guys have a lot of great stories. I wanted to you guys sent me a lot of great pictures. So I want to put the pictures up maybe, and you guys can describe the pictures and then maybe tell a story to go along with it. We got who we have in the chat room. We got the great Tom Jones, Jane Atkins.
Tom.
Yeah, it's not unusual to have Tom in the room, right?
Not unusual.
And we got Chris DiCarlo, and we got Jane Atkins. Jane, welcome. It's always great to see you.
Glad to hear you, Jane.
Jane is from Baltimore originally, right? I believe.
Yes. We were in the same buildings many times, but did not know each other.
And Jason Moaning from Arizona. He's got a condo made of stoner, just like King Tut. Here we go.
Beautiful.
All right. What do we got here?
That is me when I won the Junior Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, Walters IWF Junior Heavyweight Championship from Brian Walsh. I won that from. They were taking pictures there. That probably had to be about 86, 85, 86. Yeah, we took pictures with the belt after I won. My mother was there, my brothers, my family.
Nice. Now, how old were you then?
Let's see. I was born in 62. I was about 23, 24.
All right. So now, when you let me
Now, Benny, I got to tell you something.
Go ahead.
Brian Walsh was a big deal up there in New England.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I have heard that name. Yes.
Yes, he was a big name.
Great worker. Great worker. Had many battles, many championship matches with Brian Walsh.
And he was one of Walter's right-hand men. So you beat Brian. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, so let's go back a little bit. You, when did you start with Walter, and how did you start with Walter?
Are you asking me?
Yes. You talking to me?
Well, when I was a senior in high school, I had a car. So I drove up to Salem, Massachusetts to the YMCA. And that's where I first met Walter. And the first three guys I saw, if I'm not mistaken, were the guy by the name of the Gator Man, Jethro Chambers, John Callahan, and Ed Bonzo, the Monkey Man. And I talked to Walter
John
for
Callahan.
Yep, I talked to Walter for a bit there, back in my car and left. And then when I graduated high school, I got a hold of Walter. He'd given me his number then, contact information. And when I graduated from high school, my mother wrote a check for $1,000 to the Killer Kowalski Institute of Professional Wrestling, that's what it was called then. And then I joined his school. And I wish I had gotten it out. I still have the check today. I've showed Brittany before. I wish I had it tucked away. I can get it real quick, but I still have the check because back in them days, when you cashed a check, they mailed it back to the people. That's how you knew the checks were cashed. And I'll never forget when I walked up.
I remember that with my. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got your bank statement back, and when you opened the bank statement, were all the canceled checks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The good old days.
And when I went up to the school and I had the check for him, he's sitting in a chair and I gave him the check. And he says, "Oh, check. I like money. I don't like checks, but I like money." I said, "Okay, give me the check back, Walter. I'll go get money." "Oh, no. I'll keep the check," he said. "I'll keep the check, but I do like money. I prefer money."
Now,
that's what
you know
said.
why? Because he was an old timer, and everybody had a check or a dresser full of bad checks that they would bounce higher than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm dating us, Benny. Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, remember
that.
Absolutely.
Yep, I remember that day. My first day there, I gave him the check.
So now, Dave, what were your memories of him as a wrestler? Do you remember watching him?
Oh, I hated that guy. Absolutely,
Right?
I hated it.
We all.
I despised him. He used to beat up my hero, Bruno Sammartino. Oh yeah, I hated that guy. I seen him in Boston. I was never close to him, but I saw him wrestle in Boston. I never saw him at Jack Witchy's, but I saw him in Boston in the Providence Civic Center. I hated that guy. Hated him. Absolutely hated him. But little did I know he was going to be the total opposite when I met him.
That was my next question. Like when so you walk in, you see Killer Kowalski. What was he? 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah, he was
guy,
a big. He was a big guy. He was like 6'6", big guy. Yep.
And he would have been like what? In his probably mid-50s by then. But I bet did he still look pretty physically imposing?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I learned a lot from him, not just wrestling either. I remember some stuff he used to tell me, and one of the things he used to tell me, and I tell my kids this, and I tell my son-in-law this, and I can still hear him telling me in my head. He always used to say, "There's somebody," not talking about wrestling, talking about life on the streets. He used to always say, "There's somebody tougher than you. You don't need to prove nothing. If you're not boxed in a corner, just walk away. You don't need to prove anything to nobody. Just walk away. Unless you're actually boxed into a corner and you can't get out, if you can walk away, just walk away, because there's somebody always tougher than you." And I always remember that, and I always appreciated him giving me that. Because, you think you're tough. Back then, I was about 240. Going to the gym, you think your shit don't stink. And that's what he taught me. And I teach my kids that. And I teach anybody that will listen to me. Just, you don't need to prove anything. Just walk away. Unless you're boxed into a corner, just walk away.
Right. No, it sounds like you got more than wrestling. You got some great life advice, like Mr. Miyagi, right? He would train Daniel's son, but a lot of the lessons apply to life, not just karate. So, how long was the school? How long was the class?
When you paid to go to Walter's school, it was for life. I used to go to Walter's school even when I graduated, and I was wrestling. I used to go to his school just to refresh my holds, just to, shoot I used to love to go there just to shoot the shit with the guys, just to hang out. But I used to go up there and, and Brittany will tell you, you just go up there and just refresh things. Just go over some things you want to do in a match. Because, I was fighting Brian a lot, Cowboy Chris Duffy, just do things that you want. And, sometimes they would come up there with me and we'd go over stuff that we'd want to do in a match and just stuff like that. But I went there before I got my first match, probably, I'd say a good 8-9 months to a year.
Wow. Now you going every day, or how what was the schedule?
We went 3 times a week, twice during the week and once on weekends. When I was going, we went once on the weekends, Sundays. And I remember seeing all the hookers because, the gym was down right outside the combat zone. And I remember, we'd take breaks and we'd look out the window, me and a couple of guys. We'd, look at that prostitute. You could see him hooking on the streets. Because
they weren't ring rats. They were just general hookers.
Yeah, they were right. And we could see him on the streets and then Walter.
But you had the biggest hooker in the world in the ring because nobody could shoot like Walter. That's it.
He was a true hooker, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the things he taught me. There you go. That's the robe I got on tonight. One of the things that's his Suburban. That's his Suburban behind me. We used to travel in his Suburban with him. We used to go up to. That's his Suburban. We used to go up to guys. We'd go up to Canada. I travel with him to Canada, out to Mount Tom in Holyoke, wherever, if it was a long ride, we'd all meet him up in where he lived in Stoneham, or I think it was Stoneham. Did you live in Stoneham in an apartment complex? Abe Ford lived underneath him. The promoter Abe Ford lived underneath in the same building, lived underneath him, and he lived above Abe Ford, if I'm correct. Am I correct, Brittany?
Yes.
Yeah. And I did a lot of traveling with Walter. And I remember when I graduated from his school, he said this to me too. And I'm sure he said it to everybody, but not just me. But he always said, you know what? No matter where you wrestle, no matter what territories you wrestle in, always be respectful to the people and promoters you come across, because one day you might be meeting those same people on the way down. And I remember that that's so true in the wrestling business.
Did either of you know Fred Marzino?
No, I know the name, but I didn't know him.
Because they used to bill him from Stoneham, Massachusetts, and I'm sure Walter trained him because he was from that territory. I met him one time, Nikita, and I also seen him wrestle in the Boston Gardens.
In fact, I'll tell you one time I seen him wrestle in the Boston Gardens, because I was one of those guys. They used to go down, the kids used to run down near the, near the dressing rooms. He had his sisters out there. He had two, because he was an Italian guy. He had a couple of his sisters out there. Man, were they beautiful. He had his sisters out there. They were beautiful, beautiful Italian girls.
Yeah, I think according to wrestling data, he won exactly 9 matches, I think, in 7 years. But
he was a staple.
Yeah, definitely. That was his biggest asset, was his beautiful sisters.
He wasn't much up top, but he had big legs. He had very big legs. I noticed that on him.
Yeah.
Now, were either of you part of what there was a guy named Tom Snyder that used to do the Tomorrow Show that followed Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. And they did a feature on Walter's school. Were either of you there when that was done? Because that was back in the late 80s.
I was not there for that one. I was there for several of them, but not that one.
Because he said, call me Walter, Tom. And it's like, well, okay, Walter, you got it. And then it was well done. And it showed the humanitarian side. And also, when he put you guys in the ring, before you were able to go out past the curtain, you had to know what was going on, which end was up, without a doubt.
Definitely.
He made that clear.
Now the IWF, where did it? I mean, because you said you traveled a lot with Walter. Like, where did it encompass? Like, what was the range of the territory?
No, it was like Canada. We'd go up to Canada, wrestle for Hans Schmidt, Springfield. We do a lot of high school shows.
Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island. It was mostly New England. Mostly.
Yeah.
Is where Walter ran.
Alrighty.
You know, in the mid-70s, he was doing some of his own shows in the mid-70s, too. Even not opposing Vince Sr., but they knew what he was doing, and it was fine. You know, go ahead, book some talent up there. So it was good. Always a good working relationship with the front office.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Brittany, where was this taken?
That was taken in New Jersey at the Eddie Gilbert Memorial Show.
Alrighty. So when would that have been, or approximately?
That would have been, I would say, about 95.
Okay.
1995. And I didn't know he was going, and he didn't know I was going. And I walked in the front door, and he was one of the first 5 people I saw, and he went up and grabbed me just like that. And as you can see, I was coming from work. I took a half a day, so I was dressed for work, and he was already dressed. And he just grabbed me, and somebody took a photo and gave it to me. And that is that photo.
Yeah. That's a great picture. So now, when did you start with him?
I started in 1986, and I broke my neck in training, and I was out until 89, and I came back full-time, not really full-time. I had a day job, but full-time wrestling with him and whoever else in 89, and I wrestled for 28 years altogether.
So how did that happen as far as the broken neck?
It happened at Walter School, right outside the combat zone, like David was telling you. And let me tell you, for those of you that don't know what the combat zone is, it is way worse than Dave's saying. I will tell you, I was horrified driving there. I used to go 4 times a week. He changed his classes. Dave and I, by the way, missed each other. We never met at Walter's, ever. So we'd missed each other in 86. He was leaving, and I was just coming in, and I wasn't there long, and it happened in training. And I woke up to tears streaming down my cheeks and Walter slapping my face, going, Brown, Brown, can you hear me? Brown. And I drove home. I drove my Mustang home to Situate, Mass, which was about 35, 40 miles outside of Boston. And I was holding my neck up with one hand like this and driving with the other hand. And I needed surgery. I did not get it, but I was in a neck brace for about 8 months. And I went to work the next day. And on lunch, I went to the doctor's.
But Brittany, how did it happen? Was it ice?
No, it happened. I was getting sunset flipped.
Oh,
and she dropped me on my head.
Okay, in the ring.
Yep.
Okay.
She dropped me on my head. And Walter didn't have a ring there. So it was on blue gymnastic mats. That's how we were trained. He did not have a ring at the combat zone. He had a ring in Malden, and I don't know if he had one in Salem because that was before my time. So Dave, maybe you can answer that.
He did have one in Salem. Yep.
Okay, well, so those of us that learned at the combat zone, we had to bounce off concrete walls and land on blue gymnastic mats.
And people think everything is so padded, and those rings are very expensive. So not everybody had one. Took you, I don't know how much it was, but if it's a 20 by 20 standard, that's a lot of money. You're probably talking $15,000 back then.
Well, I
could tell you this too.
I had two. I had a 16 by 16 and 18 by 18 back when I promoted. I promoted for 8 years. And we had the 16 by 16 and the 18 by 18, and we used whichever we needed depending on the size of the place. But I had mine built, and it cost about $4,000. And this was back in '99.
Wow.
Everything is money. And one of Walter's favorites, one of his favorite saying, from the time you leave your house in the morning until you get back home and put the key in the door, somebody's trying to work you. Anybody, everybody, somebody's trying to work you. And my God, if it's not the truth. Yes. Think about it. Insurance, police, they're going to have to get you with the tickets. And I used to do that job. All kinds of bullshit. I mean, even in relationships, you're working each other. Guys are trying to do one thing, women are trying to do the other. It's like everything is a work, believe me.
I mean, the first thing I do every day is, I go to Grandma Sally's and I leave about $16 poorer than I was, 45 minutes earlier. So, it starts that way.
Look at some of those restaurants. They bring the dessert card out. Even when they say, do you want fries with that? They're trying to implant it in your mind to spend more money. He's right.
Absolutely. They're working us.
That's it.
Yep.
They're working us. Now, I will tell you, I did not know that Walter didn't have a ring when I paid him his money.
You didn't ask.
Exactly.
Now, how much was it for you, Brittany? Was it still $1,000?
Well, when I joined, it was $1,200 for guys and $1,000 for girls.
All right. So it had gone up a little bit. And it was
cheaper for girls because there was less of us.
Hey, was Casey Cavanaugh there? I know that name. She was like a bodybuilder. That wasn't Chyna, but she was very similar.
No.
Because Evan, we're going to talk to Evan next week. He'll remember. He knows.
Yeah. Nikita, I have to ask you because, Nikolai was known for his frugality. Was Walter the same way?
Sure. But he was a generous man. That's the problem. That's how I got my first payday. I went up with Nikolai. He said, you want to go meet Walter? I said, hell yeah, let's go. I was pretty green in the business. So we did the night before for Richard Byrne. And then the next day, Richard Byrne worked for Walter. He put on the mask. He was the Russian Mauler. Mike Howell. They were trying to get him over. So they wanted to do this whole Russian thing. We come out a couple of times during the night. And then Walter was the guest ref. The night before, he saved me from Mike Sharp. The next day, he beats the shit out of me. We had as Doink, Steve Lombardi, Brooklyn Brawler. So everything is done. I'm in the back. And Walter says, come here, kid. I said, yeah, Walter, what's up? Here, put that in your pocket. I'm like, wow, really? He's like, yeah, go ahead. Take care of Nikolai. I'm like, take care of Nikolai. Okay. I figured out what they meant as the years went on. Everybody used to tell me that. But Nikolai told me, he said, Walter did not make lots of money with that show. I said, well, I appreciate it. I mean, that was just unexpected and wonderful. But apparently he did that through the years. He was very generous to people. And that's not like the mafia wrestling, but it's pretty damn close. and people will take advantage of you. And Nikolai said many times a lot of people did that.
Now one oddity. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I'll tell you one. It might sound stupid, but one memory I have, because I can still smell it, looking out the window at the hook is, but then you smell the Chinese food coming up.
Yes.
You smell all the Chinese food from the restaurants there while you're looking out
I
at the
thought the hook
street.
smell like Chinese food. That would have been good.
No. Well, they probably do. Who knows? But you could smell the Chinese. You could smell it coming in from the restaurants. It smelled so good, especially on a hot summer night. You could smell it.
So
you're absolutely right.
So you're getting trained by a wrestling legend. There's Chinese food and there's hookers. I mean, it sounds like you're all set, right? I mean, what else do you need?
Me and Cowboy Chris Duffy, we made a few trips after school to the downtown combat zone area.
The peep shows.
Huh? The peep shows.
You went to the peep shows.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of police presence was in that area? Seldom, frequent, zero? Well,
seldom.
They knew better.
Because back then you still had strong police presence in the police forces. Now they're decimated, but that's a shame to hear that.
Was it like Rodney Dangerfield's neighborhood when he, when at night when he closed the window, he closed it on somebody's fingers, like that kind of thing?
It was worse. The combat zone is, I'm telling you. So like I said, I come from Scituate. Scituate was a pretty affluent town. Okay. It's halfway between the Cape and Boston. And I had this real shiny black Mustang with gold metal flake. And everybody told me, you should not drive that car here. You should not. All the boys told me that. And Benny, I don't know if you remember this, me telling you that I ran over a homeless person that tried to rob me.
How could I forget that? Yes, absolutely.
That's where that happened, in the parking lot at Walters. The guy tried to rob me, and I was horrified by what I saw. I have never seen a homeless person in my life until I went there. And I was horrified. I used to have to step over them going up the stairs to his school.
Now, what year was that, Brittany? Because, I mean, it's commonplace now, but it didn't just happen overnight. How far back would that be?
86.
Wow. See, we didn't have that in all the major cities just yet. Not that far back. It was more like anything after, I'd say 2010. Then you were starting to see more and more of it. We always had what we called smoke hounds in my neighborhood. Bums like Otis from Andy Griffin, they'd be sleeping in an alley. They didn't bother anybody, because if they did, boom, you didn't call the police. The men in the neighborhood took care of it. And you don't bother no children or women or anything like that. So, that was a presence. You knew it, you accepted it. And the police, we'd come along and slap them on the bottom of the shoe with the nightstick, tell them to move along. You didn't have them take over an area. But anyway, we won't get into that.
Right,
Benny? The combat zone was all hookers and bad people and peep shows and strip joints. And it was, I have never seen anything like it in my life since or before that. It's
eye-opening.
That
it was
sounds
beautiful.
like Dave's carnival.
It was beautiful.
David sounds like the carnival, right?
Oh, listen, I grew up, I'm born and bred from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts. We had Rocky Marciano, Marvin Hagler. So my mother was a tough Irish lady. My whole thing was I used to go to school and go to the YMCA and work out and lift. When me and Chris Duffy ever went to the combat zone, I was like a kid in a candy store. We'd go into these, these peep shows. You'd have these dollar bills and you put them in this thing, and then the window would go up and the girl would be there dancing nude in front of you. I think $1 was for a minute, and then you'd have to put another $1 in. It was like I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, this is great. I can't believe this.
So,
and the people you see there, it's like, just forget about what you saw. You don't say nothing. That's it.
Well, nobody bothered us because we were pretty big back then. Chris Duffy was a big guy. I was a big guy. So nobody bothered us. We did our thing, and then we'd go to a cabaret where we'd have a few beers and they'd strip in front of us there. And I mean, not all the time. Not all the time. The carnival has morals. I do have some morals and values to myself. So, of course, Walter never knew. We would never tell Walter. If he ever found out, he'd forget about it.
But
hey,
you want a disease? I'll give you one. Here you go.
Right.
I was 19.
Where was this picture taking place, Brittany? Where did this?
That was taken at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Springfield, Mass. The only time they ever did it in Massachusetts.
I was going to say that to me it was always Las Vegas. No.
No, it was always Studio City, California first, and then they did a Massachusetts. After that, they did one New Jersey, and then they moved it to Vegas.
All right.
That is the night I got honored.
Was that the night you got inducted by Luthez?
No, I got inducted by Walter and Moolah.
Oh, okay. What did I think? Okay. For some reason, I thought you got inducted by Luthez.
No, he was the president at the time.
Oh, that's what it is. All right. But man, oh man, you talk about getting inducted by two legends, Walter and Moolah.
Yep, and I was inducted the same night as Gorilla Monsoon and Pedro Morales.
Wow, that's some pretty heady company. Wow.
No, when they told us to all stand on the stage, I was standing right in front of Gorilla Monsoon, and I just sat there in my head going, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Like, this is such an honor looking at Pedro and Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
I love that.
The reason it started out in Studio City because Mike Mazurki was our founder.
That's right.
And if you don't know who that is, and you would know if you saw him, think of the Rod Stewart music video, Infatuation. He was the big guy for the mafia boss who Rod Stewart was peeking at with the binoculars. And then that big fist comes. That's Mike Mazurki, people.
That's it.
Dave right above you is Rod Stewart's greatest fan.
Who was?
I am.
David.
Just saw him in concert. Saw him a couple weeks ago in concert.
He's still kicking. Good man.
80 years old.
Great show. I've seen him about 30 times.
That voice, it goes. It's just like people think you go on. It's like it strains. It's like our bodies with wrestling, things of that nature. But the voice, there every night, it's just too much. So that's great.
I don't know how he does it. He's amazing.
I don't know.
That was a great show that night. I was 10 feet from him. I couldn't believe it. I've been following this guy since every picture tells a story in the faces back in the early 70s. And, I've seen him many, many times. But my daughter, Terrible Tori, got us the tickets. And I was like 10 feet away from this guy when he came down our end of the stage. I couldn't believe it.
I remember I was driving home from Virginia with my parents. We went there on vacation. And it was the first time I heard, it had to be, 1971. And I hear this song called Maggie May by this guy with this like weird scratchy voice. And I'm thinking like, this is a great song, but man, he's got a different voice. And that was my introduction to Rod Stewart. And here we are 54 years later, and the guy's still going strong.
Right?
Amazing.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Yeah,
well, did Walter talk much to you guys about his past, or he pretty much kept that didn't talk about himself that much?
Well, he talked about the Yukon Eric incident quite a bit, but
yeah. Yep. One thing I'll never forget was when Ernie Roth, the Grand Wizard, passed away. We went up to school. Yeah, we went up to school that Sunday, and he gathered us all around. He said, "Hey, I want everybody in a circle, over there in a circle." So once we all got into the circle, he came over. He was practically in tears and said, "I just want to let everybody know that the Grand Wizard Ernie Roth died." And he just started talking about how great Ernie Roth was, and he was emotionally distraught. And I remember that Sunday, that class, and he went on to talk about the Grand Wizard and how he traveled with him and how he was such a dear friend and a great friend of his, and he couldn't believe he had passed away. And I remember that. That was a bleak Sunday. That Sunday.
Well,
You
they were a
really
great combination because
Yeah.
the last run Walter had in 1974 with the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, Ernie was the manager, and he and Bruno put on a hell of a match. And it's actually on Coliseum video from years ago. That was one of the things they released. And the heat that they drew, even after all the years that they had worked together, they still had that magic. From April the 29th of 74, Bruno's cut and Walter's just biting. And Walter, he would give you everything. He's looks like he ate a jelly sandwich. His face is covered with Bruno's blood from biting the head. And then Bruno makes that crouch with the comeback, and man, the place erupted. And of course, the dressing room empties. The Chief comes in, Skolin, Pedro, Dean Ho. It was fantastic. And then the following month, May 20th, they had a Texas Death Match. That was it for Bruno and Walter at the Garden. But it lives on and on and on. But that son of a gun, that Walter, he caused a lot of commotion because we always talk about Spiro Sarion and his run with Bruno, right, Benny? And how great that was.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what happened was Walter, he was wearing a hood. Sometimes he'd wear it, sometimes he wouldn't. He had the purple hood with because I think you guys know who Jeff Archer is?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. We're going to talk about that next week. Jeff Archer, he got a hold of that mask. Walter gave it to him. They were very close. So Walter would slide a piece of metal in there, headbutt somebody. So he's wrestling the undefeated Spiro Sarion. This was December the 17th now of 74. Everything is fine with the Chief and Arion. They're a tag team. They're popular. Everything is just going well. So then Walter gets the gimmick from Ernie, puts it in his hood. Here comes the Chief. Jumps in the ring right away. The referee rings the bell, and it's like Arion's pissed because he cost me the match. I was undefeated. I've lost because of that Indian boy. And then it started from there. And it became Arion against Bruno, Arion against Strongbow. But it all started with Killer Kowalski, good old Walter, with his gimmick in the mask. And from that on, he would team up with the Valiant Brothers in 74 and early 75. And it was like, it's magic. Put him in there, like in Baltimore with Bobo Brazil. I mean, you're like watching a Hall of Fame. Did we know it back then? Yeah, we didn't know it. It was like, this is Hall of Fame what we're seeing. It's unbelievable. We were so lucky to have had that caliber of talent back then. And then his benevolence came through when he put on the mask to become one of the executioners. He was actually helping John Studd, John Mintman, Chuck O'Connor. And it was like, because Walter was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Just let me help John, and, we'll put this mask on. We'll be the executioners. And it worked. It was great. Of course, that body, he was like a crane, the bird, the crane, you could tell that's Walter without a doubt. And you hear him from time to time with that gravelly voice. It's like, geez, that's Killer Kowalski, because he had a running feud with a fan in Baltimore named Georgette Krieger. No, she was not a plant. The friggin' promoter didn't want to pay the boys, let alone some old woman to sit in the audience. But Walter spit on her one night. So did Ernie Ladd at different times. It's like, that's perfect. That's generating heat. So this night it was Bruno's comeback in the Garden against Stan Hansen in the cage. So the gate was actually smaller between they had the fence at that time and the ring. So when Walter goes backwards, he's wrestling Danucci and Jose Gonzalez. He falls back, and Miss Krieger starts laying it in. And I mean, she leaned over the rails. He turned around. I don't know what exactly he said, but he starts swinging back at her. It's like, holy shit, look at this. She must have caught him with a bad night. But that was when it was real, and we loved it. And
oh yeah,
you could get away with just letting people It was the greatest catharsis known to man, and people like Walter brought that out. Yeah, the voice stood out without a doubt. But, you know, Walter didn't have to holler because he was a philosopher. And I think he would have made a damn good psychiatrist because he could probably sit down and tell you, me, anybody else, listen to you for a little bit and then tell you what the hell's wrong with you. That's why Nikolai loved him so much, because somebody like a grandfather or a father, God, if you called him grandfather, he'd probably break your neck. But somebody that would speak eloquently and make good common sense. So that's why he and the Wizard were just a perfect match.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, I told Brittany about this, one of my favorite memories of Walter is when he came over for dinner at my house, and my mother and father's house. And my mother made him a vegetable lasagna, and she had all these salads. He came over. My brothers were there. People in the neighborhood came over. That was a great time. He gave my mother a picture. Said, I think I still have it, to the love of my life, my star, Love Killer Kowalski. And because that was my mother's idea. Actually, she said, "Why don't you invite him for dinner?" Because she really didn't know where this was going. You know what I mean? So I probably was at the school maybe 6 months when, I invited him over for dinner, and I couldn't believe he accepted. So we planned it for a weekend, and he came down and to Brockton, and my mother made him dinner, and my brothers were there, and the neighborhood people were coming over. He was signing autographs, and that was a great time. I couldn't believe he accepted, but he did.
Imagine having Killer Kowalski at your dinner table. That's like, you talk about a surreal moment.
Well, my brothers watched wrestling too. I wasn't the only one. They knew who he was. They watched wrestling along with me, so they were like, they couldn't believe he was. I can still picture it as I'm sitting at the table. I'm looking at him. He's like 6'6". He's sitting there like, I don't know, like young Frankenstein. This big, huge guy. He's sitting with all us small people at the table. And if you ever know how Walter eats and he doesn't pick his head up. He just keeps eating.
That's right.
And he'll keep eating, and he doesn't pick his head up. He just keeps eating. Yep.
No talking either then, right?
That was a great memory, because in Holyoke, when we used to leave Mount Tom, Walter had that on the weekends, Mount Tom, 2 shows. We'd go to this restaurant, and we hated it because we all drove with him in a Suburban, and we'd go to the restaurant after the show. It'd be, 10:30 around there. We'd leave. We'd go to the restaurant, which was down the street, and that guy would literally, and I mean literally, sit there for 2 hours and eat the friggin' salad bar. And he'd have this big plate, and all the boys were sitting there, we're all done. And we want to go home. It's late, because we got to come back the next day. We didn't stay in hotels.
Gotta wait till
we had to drive back. Not Walter. He'd go up for another plate, and we're like, we can't believe it. He's going up for another plate. I can't believe it. He'd eat that. He'd go up for another friggin' plate. We couldn't believe it. By the time we got home, it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
I don't know if anybody
Brittany,
knows.
I have a question. How was he? How was Walter towards the female trainees? Was he respectful?
Yes, he was very respectful, but I will tell you this. He would not treat us any different than he treated the guys. He was
demanded
not
the
easy
same
on us.
Performance. Right.
We had to do every single thing that the guys had to do. There was no coming in there and saying, Walter, I've got cramps today. He would tell you, F that, sweetheart. Get in there. Nope. There were no exceptions for being a female. I'll tell you. And I will never forget, the Boston Globe came and took photos of myself and another girl. Her wrestling name was Rosebud, and she was a good friend of mine. And we just locked up and looked into the camera, right? Well, he said I was the heel always. I didn't look mean enough. So he said, "God damn it, make yourself look meaner than that. This is the Boston Globe." Okay, so I tried to make myself look meaner. It wasn't good enough. He came up behind both of us and pinched the back of our arms so hard, and then they took the photo. And
There
boy,
you go.
did it hurt.
After he caused
He
blood
was not
clots.
easy on us. He was
Right.
not easy on us.
He had the claws, no pun intended, from the claw, but he had them big claws.
He sure did.
He was like an
tell you-
octopus. You ain't gonna get away from him when he latches on. He had that
The one-
tendon strength.
The one
But
thing
even-
I didn't
even-
like about the one thing I didn't like about him is when we traveled with him, Richard Burns would be in the front with him because him and Richard Burns were good friends. Richard always drove in the front with him. We'd be sitting in the back, and that guy listened to nothing but classical music. You could be going to Canada for a 6-hour ride, and that guy would have classical music from the time he left till the time you arrived to wherever you were going. Classical
no,
music.
No AC/DC, no Rod Stewart.
No, all classical music. That's the Mel Simon,
Now, who's in this picture?
Giant David.
Yep, Giant David, Mel Simon's in the red. That is the ring announcer, and he is still on WBZ radio to this day.
Wow.
And on the right is John Callahan, and on the left is Kevin. What's his last name? Crazy Kevin. One of his first students. It was his first student.
That is
What's his
Mel.
last name, Dave?
Kevin Hughes.
Yep, that's Kevin Hughes,
Yeah.
Walter, Giant David, Mel Simons, and John Callahan.
You know where the classical music comes from? Now, Mel was a great piano player because when we were at the show in Waltham, or actually the night before for Richard Byrne, Mel was playing a piano that happened to be nearby, and Don Bravo was there, and he was belting it out. And it was like, do you guys know Don Bravo?
Very
Don
well.
Bravo, yeah. He graduated
Beautiful,
from
man.
the School of Juilliard.
Yes. And a good friend of
Yeah.
Walter, Nikolai, Dennis Carluzzo, Don Bravo. He's got all kind of connections. But Mel, I love that. What's Mel's last name?
Simons.
Mel Simon. I love that. He was a wonderful guy. I'm
He
gonna
is
write that
great.
down.
I just talked to him an hour and a half ago, actually.
Wow.
Mel Simon.
Yep, we'll be seeing him.
Very
We got our IWF reunion coming up September 13th, where we Brittany and Vic induct a new group of IWF wrestlers into the IWF. We have a reunion dinner every year, and it's coming up at Conrad's in Foxborough, September 13th.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, a month from today.
Yeah,
There we are. That is also at the Springfield Cauliflower Alley Club.
Now, who's that on the right?
I know his name and it's on the tip of my tongue and I cannot think of it, but he was a big Japanese star. Him and Walter were very good friends.
Saggiato. I can't pronounce his name.
Is it Mr. Saito? Mr. Sato?
No, it doesn't look like
it's
either one.
No, it's not Mr. Saito is a big guy, right?
Saito or Sato. It's neither one.
No, yeah, he has a long name. I can't think of it. I can't pronounce it.
There was a
I don't know what his name is. Like if you said it, I'd go, yeah, that's him. But
okay, that's
little
Siki
tiny guy.
Sakaguchi.
Look at me next to him.
Yeah,
he was small.
you tower over him. So I got to ask you guys both this question, not to get too controversial, because there's other shows that do the dirt. But, to me, I mean, I read Bruno's book cover to cover, and Bruno went on and on about how much he respected Killer Kowalski and how, like, you had to be in tip-top shape to go with Killer because the guy, even in his later years, it was just nonstop. He said he was deceptively strong, and he was superbly conditioned. And the thing is, like, I have never heard a bad word about Killer Kowalski except for one person, which was Chyna in her book. And I said some not so nice things about him, and I just wondered if either one of you guys wanted to comment about that. You guys were there before Chyna was, correct?
I'll let Brittany go first.
No, I was there with her.
Are you okay?
If Brittany wants to comment, she can go first. I'll go second.
Okay. Joni was not a nice person. I will tell you that. She wanted to get somewhere without doing the work.
Okay.
When she was wrestling for Walter, she came in and undercut us by 50%. And that ended my reign of 13 years of being Walter's women's champion, because I walked. Because
now, Brittany,
of her.
what do you mean? What do you mean by undercut by 50%? Now, what do you mean by that?
That means she worked for Walter for half of the pay.
Okay.
Like shorting a stock.
Yeah. So that made me walk. And the fact that she also couldn't even lock up, she was not ready to get in the ring. She was absolutely horrible when she first started. I think we all were, but don't put somebody in the ring just because they have muscles, because you're gonna get somebody hurt. So I was not cool with her being in the ring because she didn't have the training. She did not know what she was doing, and she was not a nice person. And she was going to get whatever she wanted without putting the work in, and she did.
Now, hold it 1 second, guys. I have something to read. The views expressed are those of our guests and not necessarily those of the show or the network. We have to say that.
We got to do the Vince disclaimer. Thank you, Nikita, for remembering that.
We got that from Vince McMahon.
Yes, we did. But very true. But yeah, that was a comment by Walt that let me flash that back up again here. Yeah, not a very. I could never, even when she was in the WWE, I could never really identify with her because number one, she had no personality at all. I mean, zero charisma. Her, like when she started talking, I mean, it was horrible. I had to leave the room, and it was painful to watch her wrestle. I mean, really, to me, the only thing she had going for her was the physique.
Right.
And I think
that girl had more opportunities given to her through various things that she did. And she got a big push because of stuff that she did. And this idiot goes out, and it really pisses me off because everybody that worked hard that should have got a push didn't. But then she goes out and, she's doing the drugs and she's doing the alcohol. And, I don't feel sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for her at all, what happened to her. That's her own fault. She got so many breaks in this business, so many pushes. She didn't really have a lot of talent. She had muscles, and, she did things behind the scenes that were going to push, but I was not a big fan of hers.
Yeah, she made mention, I think, Killer wanted his money, but of course you want your money. You're running a wrestling school. That's your main source of income. You have a student. I mean, it's like you go to a college and you register for accounting class. They're going to want their $300 per credit hour. You can't just that's part of the deal.
You can't even go to a friggin' doctor without paying up front. They want the credit card. Or a hospital. Used to be you could send them $10, $50 a month. No, now you prepay. That's your problem to work out the finances. They want their money up front.
Right. And the $1,000 that Brittany quoted was not, to me, that even back then, that was not unreasonable, especially being trained by somebody like Killer Kowalski.
If you have
Listen, I know people personally and I'm sure Brittany does, we've talked about this, that have gotten into trouble, and have called Walter up asking to borrow money. I'm not going to mention what person it was, asking to borrow money. Walter said, meet me at the Hilltop Steakhouse when it used to be in Braintree. I don't know if you remember that at the Rotary.
Braintree, Mass. Yep.
And he actually got into his car and went and met this person and gave this person $1,000. No questions asked. So that's the type of guy. That's the type of guy Walter was. And Brittany probably knows what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention the person's name. Who never paid him back either.
I was going to say, that was my next statement. I bet you that Walter didn't get paid back.
No, he didn't pay him back. I know that for a fact. But I'm just telling this story to let you know what type of guy Walter was.
He was. That's why I said it earlier. He was too benevolent. The lady that he ended up marrying, forgive me, I don't know her name, but she took care of him. What is it?
Teresa.
She was kind to him. She helped him. And Nikolai was completely happy. He said, my God, all the money Walter lost over the years, I'm happy for him. Beautiful. No bad shit or anything like that.
Very late.
A nice lady with a nice man. That was a great combination. We were very happy for him.
How old was he when he got married? He was very old, wasn't he? I mean, like very late in life, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Nikolai used to laugh. We'd say, my God, Walter, he trained for wrestling, but he didn't train for marriage. He didn't last 1 year. He was gone. It's like, that's a whole different atmosphere.
Was it that quick that after he got married, he passed away?
Wasn't long.
No, they were together quite a while.
It's like poor Walter.
Yeah. There was one time Walter really got mad at me, like really upset at me, and was really chewed me a new asshole. There I am, me and Walter. He chewed me a new asshole because one of the ring rats came up to his school in Malden, and I was up there, and she pulled me aside, and she said some things to me, and then she dragged me into the locker room, and then, well, I guess you can put two and two together. Walter caught me with her, and he wasn't a very happy camper. So the carnival had to throw that one out.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, he wasn't very.
And
he wasn't very happy.
All part of the life cycle. We're all human.
I didn't want to do it. You know me, Benny. I didn't want to do it, but
no, I know it wasn't your fault. No, of course not. You were seduced. Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you were young. You were young and impressionable, right? How old were you then?
You made 20, 21, 20.
Yeah. What do you know back? You're a kid. These sophisticated women, you're no match for them.
Yeah. Hey, I had urges. I told Walter that. I said, Walter, I got urges. Not in my fucking school, he said. Not at my fucking school. That's what he's yelling, screaming at me. Not here. Not in my fucking school. I never want to see you fucking do that again, he said. He's screaming and yelling at me. It's all right. Take it easy. Take it easy.
I got to believe that man's love of professional wrestling was like so profound. I mean, I don't know how to say it. That's the only way I could say it.
Well, Vince brought him as one of the road agents. That group, Steel, Strongbow, Gorilla, and Walter was one, and it was like, sure, that's perfect fit. Put him out there. Yeah. He knows how to run the show. You need something, you need advice, go to Walter. He'll tell you what's going on.
Oh, Dave, that's your despite all that, there you go. You made the whole thing.
I did. I was inducted along with Ron Shaw that night. Me, Ron Shaw, Cookie Crumble, Psycho, Smooth Operator. We were all inducted that night. That was a great memory for me. My daughters came up, Terrible Tory and the Genius came up from Connecticut without telling me and surprised me. They were in the parking lot when I came in. They surprised me. They never told me they were coming up from Connecticut. That was a great night. One of the best nights of my life.
I gave Ron Shaw.
And I got it on the wall. I got it on the wall behind me. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it, but it's right behind me on my wall.
Very, very proud of.
Benny, what nickname did you give Ron Shaw?
I called Ron Shaw was the Earl of Upsets because he beat David Sammartino that squat. It was
At the
literally
Spectrum, yeah. Yep.
And then he also beat. I think he had I don't know if it was pinfall or not, but I believe he defeated Chief, like at the end of Chief's career, and he defeated Rene Goulet. For a while there, he had a little bit of a push. Yeah, he got a little bit of a push. So I
think they both got fired for that deal with Sammartino, though.
Did he get fired?
I think they both got fired. Yeah, it's like I don't give a fuck what he wanted to do. You did it. So
I know David didn't wrestle again after that, but I wasn't sure about Ron Shaw.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I wasn't too deep into it then. That's what the Nikolai said.
Yeah.
Look at that. There he is. He's looking like a hippie.
That's at the IBEW Hall in Waltham. I can remember Walter giving me some instructions for a. That was my very first match at the IBEW Hall in Waltham against Pete Austin, who was managed by Wild Bull Curry, and I can remember Bull Curry.
There we go. Yes, we talked about Pete Austin last week. Yes, sir.
Yep, and I can Pete the Hammer. He was called Pete the Hammer then, and I can remember Wild Bull Curry had me by my throat in the corner down, and the spit was coming out of his mouth, and I can hear him to this day. He says, "Sell, kid, sell, sell," which he didn't have to tell me to do. I knew how to sell, but he said, "Sell, kid, sell."
That was a stage there, right, Dave? And then you go off to the left to the dressing room. Where that photo was shown.
Yeah, so you'd go down to the dress. Yeah, you're right.
There's a big stage, and then off to the left. Yeah, I was there. That's a beautiful place. That's a nice, quaint hall, and you sat up in kind of like a high school setting, like you at a swim match, and the ring would be down low. It was great.
Yeah,
and of course they had seats on the floor too. But that was perfect.
Yeah, I wrestled there many a times.
I like that place.
Bull Curry versus Johnny Valentine, 1969, Houston, Texas, 2 out of 3 falls. If you can watch it on YouTube, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And I think Bull Curry was like almost 60, but him and Valentine beat the living shit out of each other. I mean, I watch it. It's like, man, these guys are killing each other. And, both bleeding like stuck pigs. And it was a 2 out of 3 fall match. I mean, I'm thinking like whoever went to that arena that night probably had no voice the next day from screaming.
Right.
I mean, the epitome of when it was real, right, Nikita?
When it was real, I mean, they gave their blood. What the hell else you got to give? They gave their blood. Jeez. Some gave a kidney, I guess, with all the bullshit that had incurred over the years.
Giant David.
Now, who's this guy?
Giant David. He just passed away not too long ago.
Yep.
Well, look, he's tall as Walter.
I was going to say, big guy.
Yeah.
Yep. His name is
Did he make the Fancy Independence?
Oh, yeah. He was an actor, actually. He was in Ocean's 11 and everything.
Wow.
And
really?
Yeah. George Clooney did a nice thing on the internet when he passed away. Said what a nice man he was and how they became friendly. Yeah, he did. He was in several movies.
Wow. We got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Greg. I agree, Greg. That match, I've seen that match a couple of times. I could watch that match like once a week and never get tired of it because, like, you talk about like a textbook, on wrestling psychology. And how to get fans like batshit involved. That match is it. Like, I mean, there was no holding back with those guys. I mean, Johnny Valentine was known for that, I know, and Bull Curry was no slouch either. But you talk about guys, 2 other guys gave their blood, sweat, and tears in their lives to professional wrestling, and they weren't getting like rich. I mean, they made a good living, I'm sure, but.
Wild Bull Curry was a cop. Great guy. He was a police officer.
In Connecticut, right?
Was it Connecticut?
Yeah.
I believe.
I thought he was Connecticut. And then look at that. Furbo was a mailman. Everybody's got a story.
Yeah,
Great guy, too.
All the guys who work for the New York Times that they be, Rod Cicluna, who else?
Pete Sanchez.
Yeah.
Manny Soto. Yeah, they were all doing the drive. Dominic was driving.
Yeah, Dominic. That's
there we go. For the people that said they never saw Walter bleed. Not true.
I imagine he bled a lot because, keep in mind, I remember watching him for the first time. I think it was 1969. And, there was two guys that I was scared shitless of. One was him and one was George Steele. But, they both scared the crap out of me. But he legitimately, to me, I'm thinking, this is the guy that's going to beat Bruno. And, they had so many. Nikita, how many times do you think they fought against each other?
It's not the record. Waldo Von Erich has the record. George Steele is in there, but him and Walter, they were at Fenway Park in the middle of the stadium together for almost an hour, 20 minutes. And then it's very much. I think Bruno gives a lot of credit learning how to work through Killer Kowalski, without a doubt. And like he said, you better make sure you have the bulk, but you better make sure that you don't run out of gas. Otherwise, forget about it. You look like dog shit and they're going to laugh at you. That's the end of it.
Right.
Yeah. I would imagine that go ahead, Dave.
Can you imagine not knowing who Walter is? And you're walking down the street and this guy's coming towards you at 6'6", and let's face it, he wasn't the handsomest guy around. He was a scary looking dude. Can you imagine if you don't know him and this guy's coming to your way? Even just walking down the street.
If you're some asshole that wants to pick a fight or try to rob him, happy birthday. You're going to get it in spades. Kaboom.
So that is the IWF Ladies Championship belt that I had for 13 years. And that is my father, who never missed one match in 28 years, no matter where I wrestled.
That's
no matter what country, what state.
Wow.
He never missed a match. He even checked himself out of the hospital once to come see me fight Heidi Lee Morgan in Bellingham, Mass.
Heidi Lee, wow.
So now, all right, how far did he go, Brittany? How far did he travel? Give me some examples.
My father?
I think he went to Vegas once, didn't he, to watch you?
Oh, Vegas. He went to Japan. He went to England.
Oh, my God.
He went to Texas. He went to California. We were in Vermont. I worked for, I was a champion there for a long time, so I went there monthly. And New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maine, Wisconsin, Texas. Everywhere I wrestled. New Jersey. I worked for Dennis Coraluzzo quite a bit. And Dino Sana. We just went everywhere. We drove, we flew, we I remember driving, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was on an all-girls show in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And what a ride that was. And I had to stop in Cape Cod and do a match for Freddie Spada when he was promoting. He was, if you remember, the WWF referee, Freddie Spada. He had his promotion. I had to stop, do one there, and then we continued on. So I had to bring the people that were coming with us to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, including my dad and a couple other girl wrestlers. They had to come, and I had to fight a girl there, and then we had to get in the car and continue on to Lancaster, where people were driving around in buggies with horses. And I fought Leilani Kai when I got to Lancaster.
Lancaster is right in the. I've driven from Long Island to Lancaster, and it's like once you get on those roads in Pennsylvania, there's nobody on them.
You're telling me. And I don't know whatever possessed that promoter to have an all-girls show there.
Yeah.
It was cheap. He got a cheap building.
Yeah.
He got a cheap building, but I'll tell you, not many people bought tickets. It was not a popular event in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
No.
That usually is part of the chorus in the "I lost my ass promoting wrestling" song.
Right. Right.
Who said it?
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you what. Before tonight, I knew a little bit about Killer Kowalski, the hated heel, but now I know a lot actually about Walter the Man. And Brittany and Dave, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing your stories, both those pictures and the stories. I mean, this is something you're not going to find in any wrestling magazine or any shoot interview. That we learn about the real man behind the stomach claw. So thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll see you back on Monday night, right? Our next show on True Crime, just a quick plug, we're going to talk about Bill Cosby. Very, very controversial case. So that's Monday night at 7 o'clock on the Playa Entertainment Network. And I want to thank everyone. We had quite the chat here. We had Jason, Walt, we had Krista Carlo, we had Greg Barry. Who else? I want to make sure I include everybody.
Hi, guys.
Yeah,
I didn't see Jane.
We had Jane Atkins. We had who's Vic Vicious. I'm not sure that Steve Gennarelli, the great Steve Gennarelli for the Stick to Wrestling podcast with John McAdam. Barbara Palmer, Mrs. P was here. Brittany,
Mrs. P and Vic Vicious used to be my manager and my former tag team partner.
Yes, from all over the place, guys. So I want to thank everybody. We have a lot of great stuff on the way. Next week is Walter Part 2. So please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss
Evan Ginsberg.
Episode.
Evan Ginsberg will be on. And
yes,
Evan's got from the movie Wrestling Then and Now and a long history with Walter.
So more stories
Callahan.
about the great Killer Kowalski. Yes. Yes. So
Evan will go deep as well.
Yes.
He definitely will show us more.
These are great stories. I could listen to these stories all night. But for the great Nikita Breznikov, the Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown, and Dangerous Dave Starr, this is Benny Scala, the one and only Playa, also the Poet Laureate of the Playa Entertainment Network. And I want to leave you with this. Killer Kowalski was one hell of a heel in those glorious days when it was real. But Walter was also one hell of a man. And thanks to Nikita, Brittany, and Dave, I'm one hell of a fan. Thank you and good night.
That's what I'm doing.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.